Sacrifices. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Uncanny Tracks, the world's most news-breaking podcast, because today we're here to talk about the news from San Diego Comic-Con 2024. I'm Bob in Cascadia. That's Matt in the Southland. Matt, how are you and the news doing?
Doing great, Bob. Me and the news are doing, Huey Lewis and the news are doing fantastic.
You getting big royalties off those songs,
And
and you're just living pretty, living pretty.
yeah, I like how you're willing to definitely go for the news coverage for our fans here. You're like, we'll get the first 4 days of news, guys, but the fifth day, sorry.
Would they rather get the news today or tomorrow when would they rather us drop the news episode then, or would they rather us just drop it at next weekend? I suspect they would rather us do it now.
To
Also,
clarify, folks, we are totally not at Comic-Con. We're not.
why would you want to go to that?
We're not doing this live from Comic-Con, though. You probably wouldn't know the difference. We said.
Why anybody's willing to pay the exorbitant hotel cost for comic?
I don't know either.
To wait for hours and lines to hear something. You would probably get more news if you just updated IGN all weekend rather than if you were there.
With everything in social media, you can get all that information instantly. I knew about some of the stuff we're going to talk about within minutes of them finding out at the Comic-Con. That used to be this thing where you had to wait and find out these things. It's weird. I feel like an old fogey or something, because I remember you had to read about it in a magazine. Remember we being Kroger sitting there reading about the new whatever's going to be coming out. There may be a Punisher movie on the way. And then it slowly became these, oh, gotta go to Comic-Con's the only way you can find out. You'd be like, yeah, I saw that trailer 3 months ago at Comic-Con. But now it's, oh, I saw that trailer 10 seconds ago at Comic-Con. Why go now? Why even have the thing?
I enjoy Comic Cons generally. It's nice to meet comics pros. It's nice to browse the back issues. Sometimes if the panels are well designed, panels can be interesting, but you can't even really get that at San Diego, because if you're going there for comics, you just have to contend with the hordes of people who are just there for movie and TV announcements.
Right, which is, I feel like the majority of the people that are there.
Oh, yeah. No, certainly for most of the 21st century, yeah, Comic Con has not really been about comics, right?
Well, and there's the cosplay piece too that just people love. I can never get into.
It's not my thing, but I see why people like it.
Oh, I do too. If I had the patience to put things together, I would totally be into that. But no, I don't.
All right, Nat. So what's the news you're going to hit me with from San Diego? Some of this might be total surprises to me.
He also doesn't even know the news that has already come out. He wants me to provide him with the news.
Did you want to record this tomorrow morning? Have your original plan that I stepped on so we could get all the Comic Con?
No, Bob, that's actually work tomorrow morning. How am I going to do that?
Me too.
Yeah, you too, Bob. All right. So back to what I was going to talk about. Star Trek. We're going to begin with Star Trek. Lots of news for Star Trek. First off,
is any of it good, Matt? Is any of it good?
It's breadcrumbs, some of it. You want the good or you want the bad first?
Hit me with the bad first.
All right, Bob, the bad. Section 31 movie.
Okay, so you're not looking forward to that, is what you're saying?
No, it looks awful. And I think you already knew that going in. I was going to give it a chance.
Well, no, I think my opinion on Section 31 is I would probably rather it not be made, but I'm very glad they're making it as a movie instead of a TV series, which was the original plan. As a TV series, it's terrible. As a movie, it could be somewhat fun, especially since it's starring Michelle Yeoh, right? I don't really like Michelle Yeoh's character on Discovery, but I do like Michelle Yeoh, so it's always nice to see her.
That one scene in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Bob, where the entire cast was in tuxedos or nice dresses.
Yes, when they were going into the holodeck program of Vic Fontaine to basically do Ocean's 11 before the remake of Ocean's 11 was a thing.
All right, take that scene. They want Section 31 to just be that whole feeling, I think is what they're going for.
I'm still going to watch it, and I assume we're going to review it, but that doesn't sound promising.
It really doesn't, and I'm not really sure what I was supposed to get from the actual trailer.
How long was the trailer?
It was very short, very, very short, a minute tops.
Well, this is not news to me because I did see that, and I didn't watch the trailer, but I did see that there was a trailer. Since I am going to watch it, probably best I don't see the trailer, right? Even though you don't make it sound good, I don't think I'm dreading it as much as you are.
There's an African-American character that has these very interesting eyes, and I do not want that person to wind up being related to LaForge.
That would be cringy.
Do not make, just because he's got the eyes, the ocular implants that LaForge has in First Contact. Don't let this be like his dad or granddad. We don't all have to be related on this journey.
I'm now struggling to remember where Discovery even like left Michelle. She goes to the far future with Discovery. At the end of Discovery Terra Firma Part 2, Bourgeot enters the Guardian of Forever portal to be transported to a time in which the Prime Universe and the Mirror Universe were still aligned. So this could be a sequel to Discovery, or I guess it could be what you call an interquel, where because there is a period during the run of Discovery before Discovery goes to the future. So this would be during season 2,
Yeah.
where Giorgio is working for Section 31. So maybe it's set during that period, or maybe it's set as a sequel to Terra Firma Part 2.
A lot of bar fight type scenes and things like that. So get ready for that. All right. The next thing, Bob, we got a clip from Strange New Worlds in which Nurse Chapel is going to turn some of the crew into Vulcans. So she has some hypo spray thing, and she goes and she gives it to Pike and Uhura. She inoculates them with this thing, and they turn into Vulcans. And it's played for laughs. It's funny because they're all making fun of Spock because now they're apparently full Vulcan and he's still half Vulcan, half human. It is pretty funny. Peliel, on the other hand, it doesn't affect her at all, does nothing to her. She had LSD, did the same thing.
She was a 60s kid. She was a flower child.
Right. So we've got that part, Bob. That we got the trek there with the Strange New Worlds. It was played for fun.
That's presumably from whatever the Spock and T'Pring hijinks episode is in season 3, wouldn't you say?
Most likely, yes. That's my opinion. Because they also went funny with Pike's hair and made it really, really tall and overly Vulcan. That's pretty fun.
Oh, man. I'm actually surprised. I saw about the Section 31 trailer dropping, but I didn't see anybody say anything in the circles I'm on social media about the Strange New Worlds trailer, which makes me sad and makes me think I need to cultivate better social media circles.
Then Lower Decks had a very strange trailer, sucking its own dick at the very beginning.
When else are you allowed to do that other than your last season, I suppose?
Very strange, but the only thing that I could really pull out of the trailer that I wanted to highlight was that there's a mirror Cerritos or an alternate universe Cerritos where
maybe this is going to be our discovery.
Becky Mariner is now the captain of the Cerritos. Rutherford has Borg implants. He looks like way more robotic looking.
And is this Mirror Rutherford or
Mirror
Rutherford?
It's Mirror Rutherford. Boimler has a goatee. Shax has a ponytail.
Of course he does. Those are good choices.
Your feline friend, she looks the exact same.
All good choices. All good choices. Yeah. Did they give any clarity about when we could expect the final season of Lower Decks or about season 3 of Strange New Worlds?
Lower Decks has 2 episodes that are dropping on October 24th, and Strange New Worlds will be sometime in early 2025.
Okay. Yeah, so we know what we're doing on October 25th. That's exciting. I would guess Strange New Worlds probably would be maybe more late spring or summer 2025, based on when the first 2 seasons were airing, but excited for it regardless. Did you see anything about Starfleet Academy, that awful show that's coming up?
Well, since I know you hate it and we weren't planning on covering it, I really didn't even look at it. I just know the doctor's going to be on it. That's about it.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's news to me. And then the last Star Trek question I have, unless you've got other stuff, was, did you see anything about Tawny Newsome, who is the voice of Mariner, involved in some sort of live-action Star Trek comedy project? I got White Lotus for Star Trek vibes.
Well, that could be interesting and enjoyable.
Yeah, I certainly am more excited about that than Starfleet Academy, or even though I don't fully share your dread at the Section 31 movie. I'm more excited for that than a Section 31 movie. Before we do the MCU, Matt, apparently they are going to do a Doctor Who spinoff about the Sea Devils, who are an obscure alien species in Doctor Who from, I think, the 70s with the 3rd Doctor.
Well, Bob, with the MCU, we found out that there is definitely a Fantastic Four movie. It will be called Fantastic Four First Steps.
Which, is that not the worst subtitle in history?
It's so awful. I mean,
why wouldn't you just call it Fantastic Four? I saw that and I vomited in my mouth.
All I can think about when I hear First Steps is like babies.
I think they're trying to go the astronaut angle, which was also what the last Fantastic Four movie did, from what I understand.
I think of babies taking their first steps. It doesn't help that they go with the baby blue background they're using for their colors. Yep.
I'm on record as I'm not going to see that movie, Matt. I think you were somewhat excited about the casting for it. Have you changed your opinion on seeing the family?
I'm still gonna go see it. It'll be released
Sucker.
July 25th, 2025.
Sucker.
Yeah, you know what, Bob? It's entertaining. It's entertainment. That's what it is. I've only seen four other Fantastic Four movies. This one might be the better one.
My God, you've watched all four of those?
I've watched the awful one from the 90s.
The Roger Corman one yet?
Yeah, I watched the two from the early aughts. Rise
Michael
of,
Chiklis is the thing.
yes. And then I watched the brand new one, not the new one, the one that came out in like 2008
With the 17, maybe.
to, yeah, 17, yeah, that one.
Michael B. Jordan is the Human Torch.
Yeah, that.
I'm going to be a little superior to you for a moment and say I've never seen any of them.
Wow, Bob, you don't know what you're missing.
I think I do, Matt. But
Yeah.
all right. So you're still excited for Fantastic Four: The First Step.
Yes, Bob. And then we have Avengers Secret Wars.
Well, that's not the one that's coming next, right? We have one coming before Avengers: Secret Wars, right?
Oh, I think we do, Bob. And that one is called Avengers
Doomsday.
Doomsday.
Well, and so we already knew the second one was going to be called Secret Wars, right? But I think we initially thought the fifth one was going to be called Kang Dynasty, but for obvious reasons, they had to get a different villain.
We will have Doomsday first and then Secret Wars.
So it's 20 Fantastic Four, 2026 Doomsday, 2027 Secret Wars. Is that how it goes?
That is correct. Strap
So-
yourself in.
And I did see the big news, Matt, but do you want to tell our listeners the big news?
Robert Downey Jr., the Iron Man, will be playing Doctor Doom.
I mean, what can you say? He led an amazing life.
What kind of world does we live in? Robert Downey Jr.'s world, guys.
So I think this is the worst thing I've ever heard. I already wasn't going to see these movies, but this is awful now. This is just so dumb. People seem genuinely excited about it online, and I just can't even express. If you still want to be into the MCU, whatever, cool, live your life. But why do people think this is a good idea?
I'm trying to think of how we got here. And I think it really comes to that they know that those stars can make money and that the people they have put in those characters that are just not as interesting are not drawing the money. So that's why they're like
See,
Robert Downey Jr. Plaster his name up on it. See, everybody wants to see what he's going to do. Even if his Doctor Doom sucks, they're still going to buy a ticket to see it.
I disagree, man. I think I'm not saying for sure that this is going to tank, but I think there is a good chance that this will tank.
I'm not saying it's going to be amazing or fantastic.
Obviously, it's going to suck. There's no way in hell it's not going to suck in terms of quality, but in terms of being a commercial success, it is possible that it could be a commercial success. But I think this just shows superhero fatigue, Matt. You're exactly right that we got here through a combination of over-releasing of Marvel movies that were of diminishing quality that relied you to have seen 4 different miniseries to understand.
Right.
That, and then also the specific circumstances about Majors Kang got us here, sure. But I am not at all confident that this is the choice that's going to revive the MCU.
It's a cash grab at this point because honestly,
Oh, yeah.
I want to see it now more so just because I wonder how they're going to pull this off because he's going to either have to act completely different or is it just going to be Tony Stark as Doom?
The questions that it raises, and I'm hesitant to even get into these questions because it's beyond dumb. But the questions it raises are, this is going to be a multiversal Doctor Doom, right? A Doctor Doom from some other universe. But are they still going to have like a quote real Doctor Doom from whatever the main Fantastic Four universe is? Or is that going to be Robert Downey Jr. too? I mean, that's the one obvious question. And then some people are already speculating that it's a feint, right? They're doing it as a stunt casting, and then, someone else will be Doctor Doom, or it'll be some other villain or something.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, I've seen that go around. So there's that speculation. There is actually a history between Doctor Doom and Iron Man. I don't know it very well because I don't like Iron Man comics, but there is a history of Doctor Doom and Iron Man as antagonists. Recently, maybe 2017 or so, there was a whole series called Infamous Iron Man where Doctor Doom took over being Iron Man, which I've read and it's not that great. That's just a lot to throw out there. But yeah, this seems so desperate to me and it seems so likely to fail.
It's gimmicky.
Yeah.
It's very gimmicky. We've
What
lived
else?
long enough to see what happens, Bob, when you start whipping out all the gimmicks.
Yeah.
It's starting to
And
go downhill.
I want to be clear that, like, I hate this and I think it's a bad idea, but I'm not saying that I think it's going to fail because I hate it and I think it's a bad idea. I think it's going to come off as a transparent gimmick that a lot of people are just not going to be interested in. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, Bob. It really does. Because you're right, because right now it's drawing me in. The gimmick is drawing me more so when I probably would not have gone to see the film. Whereas you're right, someone's going to do the opposite and just be like, they're not going to, that gimmick's not going to draw them in.
This is a separate issue. And again, it doesn't matter in terms of whether it'll succeed or not. And to an extent, it doesn't even matter to me because I've written off the MCU. I'm done with it. But it does still annoy me a little bit. Just, it's horrible casting for Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom's a character who I like a lot, who means a lot to me. And it's disgusting casting for Doctor Doom. It makes no sense with any good version of Doctor Doom. Would you agree with that?
Well, I do agree with that, dude.
I didn't even realize that this had resonance with that. That's interesting.
There was like it's a very small group of people that get to continue to do these Marvel movies.
That makes me even more skeptical about its chances because the Flash movie already tried to do that crap with like Nick Cage as Superman, as Batman. And that was like, it didn't work. It didn't succeed that well. People didn't like the movie. But that was at least, I probably would have said if I were in the producer's room, don't do that. But I can see the logic for it, right? I can see why you would think, oh, it'd be cool to have this winky stuff about Michael Keaton and Nick Cage. But to do it with a casting that didn't happen for a movie that literally nobody likes, that's hubris, Nat.
Yeah. Well, there's another little piece of casting information that threw me for a loop as well, Bob.
Hit me.
And that was to find out that Giancarlo Esposito is not Galactus or Doctor Doom.
I thought we thought he was G.W. Bridge.
He's not G.W. Bridge. He is Sidewinder.
So is Sidewinder just a Captain America villain?
It's Captain America villain.
This is not surprising because I don't read a lot of Captain America comics, but I've never heard of Sidewinder, know nothing about it.
Yeah, it doesn't look that great. But man, Esposito is excited about it.
Oh man, I
think he's the only one.
Esposito as Doom or as Galactus was always a little bit of a pipe dream. It always had the feel of like a fan fantasy about it. But Esposito is a great actor. Deserves like something he can bite his teeth into. I just don't think Sidewinder is that.
Well, Bob, that's really the bulk of the news that I know about.
Well, there were some announcements about DC's new line, which Matt, do you know what the name of DC's new line is that's replacing Dawn of DC?
No, what is it, Bob?
It's the worst name for the publishing initiative I've ever seen from the big two. It's called DC All In.
All in, all out.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's pretty rough, man. It's pretty rough. I figure we might wait a little while until we actually have a more detailed title list for DC All In, and then maybe we'll kind of do a dedicated episode about that, if that sounds good to you.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because after the Marvel news that it all dropped yesterday, man, whatever DC comes up with is nothing in comparison.
I think they dropped a short Creature Commandos teaser, which I'll probably watch, but I refuse.
Oh, I did watch that. It was okay. It's more of the adult cartoon type stuff that we keep seeing.
In the spirit of Harley Quinn and Kite Man.
Yes, I feel like it's more of that.
And Lower Decks, for that matter. Then the only Marvel Comics news that really made it onto my radar is they're going to do a West Coast Avengers book, which is going to be written by Jerry Duggan. And the main cast for West Coast Avengers, it looks like it's going to be, at least at the start, Iron Man, War Machine, Firestar, Spider-Woman, and a reformed Ultron. I actually think that looks kind of fun. I know some X-Men fans are really annoyed about it because one of the things at the end of the Krakoa age was they tried to do a lot of character development with Firestar and play with her loyalties to the X-Men and to the Avengers and really get her back into the X-Men fold. And so a lot of X-Men fans are justifiably a little annoyed that all that is just being forgotten, right? And she's just showing up in an Avengers book again. But I don't know, the cover art for the West Coast Avengers looks cool. I actually like Ultron, even though I don't like the Avengers. I like Ultron, and I like when you try to do good Ultron stories. Those are fun. And I don't know, I'm excited to try this book. It's written by Jerry Duggan, who's done some great stuff and some terrible stuff. He is the current writer on Iron Man, and I've refused to read his Iron Man run because I don't care about Iron Man. And so my one hope is that this West Coast Avengers book won't require me to have read his Iron Man run.
He actually wrote the Iron Man stuff where he marries Emma Frost. I've read that, Bob. It's mediocre. It's not bad.
I just like Emma Frost as a character so much, and I hate Tony Stark as a character so much. I can't do it.
It's more Emma Frost, Cyclops type relationship stuff, but with her and with Tony being rich.
But I can't handle it. I mean, Duggan has written stuff I like. His Guardians of the Galaxy run was pretty fun. His X-Men run for Krakoa had some ups and downs, but I liked some of the ups of it. We've got Doctor Who spinoff, we got Star Trek previews, we got West Coast Avengers, and then we got really dispiriting news about Robert Downey Jr. and Gina Carlotta Esposito, although dispiriting for totally different reasons. Matt, is there anything we're forgetting from San Diego?
Not that I'm aware of, Bob. I think we're good unless they announce something crazy today.
Probably they wouldn't on the last day, but hey, who knows? So catch us for our regular coverage of the Batman cartoon coming up. Catch us for probably we'll do a preview episode for DC All In. Probably in 2025, Matt will go see Fantastic Four and tell me about it, and I'll groan aloud. Probably in 2026, he'll go see Doom Quest, tell me about it, and I'll groan aloud.
Bob, it's Doomsday. It's Doomsday like the DC comic. Doomsday.
Well, I'm Bob in Cascadia on a Doom Quest. That's Matt stamping his foot on the ground, loudly proclaiming that it's Doomsday. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks for listening.